Hello, everyone. That's right, we're doing
Beavers.
another Fat Electrician video. And this time I have Met with me. And yeah,
I was told there was history,
yes,
so I brought Stu. Um,
as I said before, I love history. Quite literally, if you didn't know, I've gone to the Texas Nimitz Museum, which is a Pacific War museum. Let me just say, my grandfather also loved watching the movie Midway. The newer version is actually really good. It gives a good indication of what happened at the Battle of Midway. I'm not going to go into the whole thing because if I go into the whole thing, we're going to be here for a while on the Battle of Midway. Let's just say I know.
all I know about Midway was that the Navy was involved, and I don't understand how naval combat works.
Well, at this time, naval combat was mostly used through aircraft carriers because those were found to be superior to battleships. Because, you know, it's quite literally.
I see.
It's like sending a bunch of bees to stab at someone. Like, there's a difference between lobbing some ammo and literally, like I said before, sending a bunch of weapons to literally attack them. Aircraft carriers were incredibly useful, and this is where the battle with Yorktown, the Grey Ghost, also known as the USS Enterprise, and a few others I can't remember.
Yeah.
The USS Hornet, and a few others I can't remember off the top of my head. Sorry, I don't have them all memorized. But it's a really interesting thing. I fully recommend the movie Midway. And I kind of wish I went to go see it with my grandfather because he watched the old one so much that quite literally my grandmother would say, "You've watched that movie 100 times." And he would yell back, "Well, I want to watch it 101." But yeah, we'll get into this. I have no idea what America's Airborne Beaver operation was. It's probably one of those weird experiments that we did. Like that one time they basically paid a dude to spray estrogen on the bad guy in World War II's grapes. I'm not going to say his name because YouTube doesn't like that, but yeah.
The monetization.
It's weird. Anyway, besides me talking and ranting, let's learn about these beavers.
I mean, it is the epitome of it.
Yes.
This is easily one of my favorite stories of all time, and it is the epitome of it's not stupid if it works.
That's
Today we're talking about
yeah,
Operation Beaver Drop,
especially
that
in
time that a bunch
World
of
War II.
Okay, so the
veterans
cat spy
in
is
Idaho
the
fishing-
stupid thing because it didn't work.
The cat's what?
The cat spy, the cat camera.
Oh yeah, that operation during that was during the
Really?
Cold War.
Operation if it never really made it out of the lab.
No, it made it out of the lab. They
Well, yeah, that was the whole problem.
No. What happened in that operation is quite literally they sent the cat to spy on the Russian diplomat while he was having a conversation with someone, and the cat wandered into traffic and got hit by a car.
Oh, I thought it was like literally their first test.
This was their first test.
Yeah, so that's not an operation. That's still fucking lab testing.
Not really if you send it
No,
to
that's
an
the
actual diplomat, but yeah. Anyway, beavers.
game department got assigned the task of relocating a bunch of beavers to a different habitat.
What?
And they decided that the cheapest, safest, most cost-effective
may
way to
have
go
heard of
about
this.
that was to strap them to parachutes and throw them out of a plane.
Oh my god.
Oh, I know this one.
Conflict of Nations, a free online
Really? This is...
military
I mean, there's
strategy
silly
game.
operations
It is
that
based on a World War
the
III
United
type
States
scenario.
has
You can
done.
pick your own country, or you can pick a state inside of the United States.
How would you transport a bunch of
Because it's really the only
beavers?
way to make it fair for everybody. Also,
Did they give them like little tiny parachutes? What the hell's going on here?
If I remember correctly, they had wooden boxes that had the parachutes attached to them that were designed that on impact they'd open up.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Funny enough, that is a tactic used nowadays to airlift equipment.
With another nation and work together. I mean, you could. I'm gonna build.
You know,
up my army with tanks,
airdrop
jets,
equipment
and
is what I mean.
submarines and turn my attention to Wisconsin.
Yep.
Okay, I'm gonna be honest with you guys. The nuclear submarines are not super helpful in Midwestern warfare, but that's the type of flexibility that Conflict of Nations allows. I've already taken
Like,
over
this is
Minnesota,
such a
the land of
strange
10,000 lakes. I'm gonna put a
start
nuclear
that I wasn't
submarine in every one of
expecting.
those lakes. Anyways, if you want to give it a try, it's available on both PC and
Well, it's got me
mobile.
hooked.
Use my link and discount
Yeah.
code down below. You're gonna get 13,000 free.
I mean, I used to hear actual stories from my aunt and
Let's get
uncle
back to
who are actual Marines. Nice beavers.
All right, let's just take this from the top. Beavers, okay, one of my favorite animals. Why? Because I believe it is the animal that is most similar to humans. And I know what you're going to say. You're going to say, what about monkeys? What about apes? What about chimpanzees? They've all got thumbs and they poke shit with sticks and they eat bananas just like people do. That's fine. I understand that they're very similar to people. But beavers are the most similar to humans in spirit. We are the only animals on the planet with the audacity to walk into a new ecosystem and be like, wow, I hate everything about this. I could, A, migrate, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go with option B and change everything about the world around me to make it suit me better and fuck everybody else. Now, do I enjoy the wet?
Yeah, I can see what he means by that. Honestly, funny enough, if beavers can literally not handle the sound of running water and will force themselves to quite literally build a dam.
I saw that on Animal Habitat Facts.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite. We should watch that guy.
Yeah.
Wetlands that beavers create with
my other one
is
not
my
I
jam.
think the
However,
marmot.
game recognized
One of
game
the Halloween rides screaming.
Running water and is like,
"You gonna do this? Okay, fine. That's all I needed for him to do that, and it became personal with me."
It's no different than when it's July and it's hot out and I decide to turn my air conditioner on so I can domesticate the wind so that my balls aren't hot, okay? It's about changing the environment around you rather than changing yourself. Okay, it's just that species-wide main character energy of, I don't need to evolve anymore, I'm perfect how I am,
Simba.
I'm going to evolve the world around me to some shit that I like more. So,
terraforming.
I have a great childish respect for beavers.
Terraforming.
For the beavers, between the 15, 16, 17, 1800s, their furs made dope-ass hats and they were really popular all across Europe.
Yeah.
And the beavers were almost hunted to extinction for their pelts.
Almost.
Okay, and as I'm sure you can imagine, no beavers means no beaver dams, no beaver dams means no wetlands, and no wetlands messes up the entire ecosystem. Okay, we can't have it. We got to quit killing all the beavers. So the early 1900s, people realized this. They put protections on the beavers, and we quit trying to hunt them to extinction and actually try to help encourage their population to build back up. Okay, fast forward like 50 years, 1945, 1946.
The beaver pelt industry was super big. Like, incredibly so. Europeans love their beaver stuff.
In schools. Europeans love lots of things. You know they snorted mummies?
The British snorted mummies, yes. We know about this. I learned quite a bit about this. We won't go into the British expeditions into Egypt for now, but yeah.
Right around then, all the young men that went off and fought World War II are coming back home. They got a bunch of money from fighting that war. They want to get a wife, build a house.
Oh, this is after World War II.
Things. So they start expanding. And one of the places this happens in is a town called McCall, Idaho. And they start expanding and the town gets bigger. And eventually it displaces a bunch of beavers that have been out in the woods doing beaver things for hundreds of years. And these new beavers get displaced and they go out and they start fucking up a bunch of farmers' fields and irrigation systems. And it gets to the point that the people in the town are just going to start shooting these beavers because they're messing everything up. At this point, the Idaho Fish and Game Department, presumably also full of World War I and World War II.
The issue is there's really no way to.
We're not going to kill these beavers. These guys are awesome. They do a lot for the environment. We're gonna take them. We'll move them somewhere else where they can thrive.
We're not killing beavers. We're just relocating them.
So they're going to capture the beavers alive. They're going to drive them as far as they can on roads, and then they're going to pack them in on horses and mules, miles and miles into the wilderness, where they're not going to be near any humans ever. And this is a complete disaster, pretty much from the start. They capture the beavers alive, stick them in a cage, throw them on a truck, try to drive them hours and hours into the wilderness.
And they come right back.
On them because beavers, they're a lot like me. I like to sit in my house in the air conditioning. They like to sit in their dams in the nice, damp, wet environment to keep cool. Beavers can't keep cool on the back of an unair-conditioned truck in the 1940s. A lot of them are getting heat stroke, they're passing out, they're dying, they quit eating,
got thick fur.
or they get super agitated and they're very combative the entire time. Because they're hot. Then, even if the beavers do survive the truck ride, they're all pissed off and angry, and now they're getting strapped to a horse or a mule, and that pisses off the horse because he's got a bunch of angry beavers all over him, and now the horse is
This is
pissed
such
off,
a
and the
silly
whole thing
situation.
it doesn't work. So now the Fish and Game Department is like, well, what are we going to do? We got to save all these beavers. We want to get them up in the mountains so they can build their wetlands. It's going to help protect the town from flash flooding. It's going to prevent erosion. It's going to be great for the environment. We got to save these guys. And one guy at the Fish and Game Department presumably is like, I mean, I got an idea. Hear me out. We do have an awful lot of extra surplus parachutes from World War II laying around. We've got a plane. Okay, now to us in 2024, this sounds insane. But
it does.
This is 1948, okay? There's no OSHA. There's no, like, rules and regulations.
It probably still sounded insane then.
Yeah, it probably still sounded insane to everyone. But they did it anyway, because Yeah, that's a very American thing to do. Get told this whole thing is insane and doing it anyway.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Point. Nobody's telling these guys what to do. A bunch of World War I, World War II veterans are like, huh, it's actually a pretty good idea, Jimmy. You know, it did work at Normandy, and the Beavers aren't going to have Germans shooting at them, so I mean, pretty high likelihood they'll be fine. Let's try it.
Okay. Oh, hot damn.
So, first order of business,
God damn
we
it.
develop a box that opens up once it hits the ground and gets the beavers to the ground safely. Pretty simple.
Okay.
It's basically two halves of a box with some holes drilled in it. They weave the rope through. Once the parachute lands, there's no more tension on the rope. The box just kind of falls open.
Yeah,
the beavers
springs
get
open.
out and start doing beaver things. So, first we're going to test it before we put any innocent beavers at risk. We're going to take some empty weights, put them in the boxes, go up in the plane, drop them over the practice field, see how it goes. Goes
All right.
fine the first
Perfect
couple of
normal.
times, okay. Let's try it with one beaver, just for practice.
Yep.
So
Okay.
they go ahead, they pick an older male. He's out of his breeding prime, potentially dangerous to some of the younger males. If something
Okay.
does happen, he's lived out most of his life. They name him Geronimo because they're a bunch of meatheads and that shit's funny. So they put him in
Of
the
course
crate,
they
pick
do.
him up in the plane, drop him off over the practice field from 800 feet. Geronimo makes it and survives. Now, obviously, we're not going to
Nice.
put all our beavers in one basket because of one successful test run. We need multiple test runs to be certain that this is going to work. And now that Geronimo is technically our lucky beaver, he's going to do it again. So he does. Geronimo does it again.
Oh my god.
And again.
How many
And
times?
again.
have against
And he
Geronimo?
keeps jumping. Like, more than 12 jumps this beaver makes.
They name him Geronimo because that's this thing that you say when you're about to jump off.
No, that's not what I asked. I asked what they had against him.
Oh, I don't know.
By the end of it, the
They threw this guy to a plane how many times?
actually run up to them and help them put him in the crate because
Wait.
he was ready to go again.
Wait, what?
Oh, this is animal abuse. And
What?
what if one of those boxes didn't...
Wait. So he likes it. Geronimo likes going up in the plane. Oh my god. He's a war beaver now. He's an airborne beaver.
All hail.
All hail the airborne beaver. I didn't expect to be this is where we were going with this, but, yeah. Crazy parts in history where a beaver likes to be airlifted.
No.
open after the parachute landed. Buh. Okay, first of all, no it isn't. I've already went over the options. A, they could stay where they were at, being displaced, and end up getting shot by farmers for messing up their crops.
Yeah.
B, they could spend days in transit on
Which
the
is
truck,
horrible.
pack mule suffering and
Yep.
potentially dying. Or C, we can throw them in an airplane, fly them there in 15 minutes,
Band
and
of
then throw them
beavers.
out the side. They can get their jump wings while they're doing their Band of Beavers reenactment. Okay? It's literally the best option. Okay, secondly, why are you worried about the box not opening? Like, did you think about this at all? It's a pine box, and that's a beaver. Okay, literally the only animal
Yeah.
in the animal kingdom known for cutting down trees with its fucking face. I have the utmost confidence.
Yeah.
If one of those
Yeah.
boxes malfunctions,
They
the
will just
beaver
eat
is
their
gonna
way out.
figure it out. All right, so now they have their beaver delivery method. They develop a plan. They pick out a bunch of different locations. All
The
over
bigger concern is the box
area where they're gonna
malfunction in
be able to drop
midair.
these beavers off in
Yeah, that
groups
is
of
worrying.
3 to 5, 2 males, 3 females, 1 male, 3 females, something like that. Enough that they're going
This
to be
is
able
so
to rebuild
coordinated.
their own little colonies, but they're going to be spread out enough that they're not going to congregate into one thing, and it's going to be a humongous boost to the beaver population. This is what conservation's all about. So they get that all figured
True.
out. They have the plan in place. They know the delivery method. Now they just got to go catch all the beavers. So they go back to town, catch them all. There's 76 of them. They take them back, they
76
start loading them in
beavers.
crates, and they're going to take them up in the plane and throw them out the side. And here's the best part about the whole thing. They filmed it.
Into the drop box.
Oh my god.
Flight back
Huh.
into the mountain.
And
This
is
is
where you can really
crazy.
start
I'm back in
seeing
there?
a different time. I mean, look at this.
Get in
absolute
there.
Chad just manhandling this beaver into that crate with no safety equipment, no gloves.
Yeah, he does
no
not
eye
care at
pad,
all.
Nothing. If this were modern day, that guy would have leather protective gloves up to his elbow. He'd have safety glasses with a hard hat,
Yeah.
with a face shield, with a
He was just
leather
picking it up by
apron.
its back
He'd
and
have two
putting
dudes
it
holding
in.
his hand while he did it just to make the safety
handling
guy
a
happy.
beaver.
No,
Yeah.
this is just some angry war veteran throwing a beaver into a box like it's another 8-hour workday. It's fantastic. That's it. They get the beavers loaded up on the plane. The plane takes off. They drop all the beavers in their designated drop zones. 75 out of the 76 survived. I don't know how they know this. I'm assuming they had people on the ground at the different drop locations to
Probably.
make sure the box is opened or that the
Someone
beavers
found a
made it,
box that had a
whatever.
beaver
But
still in
apparently
it.
the one beaver,
Uh-huh.
that
The beaver
didn't
was not
make it
moving.
had somehow either slipped through the crack when the rope was loose or eaten his way out of the box after they let it out
Mid-air.
of the plane. And the
Oh.
beaver was last seen standing on top of the box with the parachute above him.
Oh my
And he
god.
probably would have been fine, except when he got 75 feet off the ground, he decided to jump.
Oh!
So on one hand,
that's
kind of sad, but on the other hand, you know, natural selection. If the other 75 beavers figured it out and you didn't, probably on you. On a happier note, though, the boys at the fishing decided to hook up their lucky beaver, Geronimo. This is posted in the Journal of Wildlife Management, Volume 14, Number 2, April 1950. The article, Transplanting Beavers by Airplane and Parachute by Elmo W. Heater, Idaho Fish and Game Department, Hall, Idaho. And I quote, Geronimo had a priority reservation on the first ship into the hinterland, and that with 3 young females...
Oh, they sent him to a nice place as retirement.
And he made it. Apparently, they went to check in on him a couple years later, and his new colony was, and I quote, very well established. And Geronimo was not unique in that, because pretty much every drop zone ended up turning into a thriving beaver colony in the following years, because they kept tabs on this entire thing. And not only did it work, it was also super cost-effective, because
that's more responsible than I was expecting.
The cost of transport.
Well, yeah, when you're working at wildlife and conservation, you have to keep track of how the population's doing. It's very important.
Yeah, but it's also the 1948.
Yeah, I guess they were pretty good at their job at this point.
Was $30. It was $2 for the box, $16 for the surplus cargo parachute, and the flight time, man hours, and fuel totaled to $12 for a total of $30 per colony. And just to be clear, that's the actual crazy part about this story. It's not the fact that they actually had airborne beavers to go save the environment. No, that seems pretty reasonable. The crazy part is that these guys back in the 1940s managed to get the job done, have fun, and record it, and they did it for like $300 to $500. Because we all know in modern times, if they wanted to do this, there'd have to be like a 15-year-long environmental impact study that costs the U.S. taxpayers $25 million, just so that the government can determine that if you drop beavers off in the forest, they will in fact do what beavers do. And then once the government goes ahead and says it is in fact okay to put beavers in the woods, it's going to take another 10 years for Lockheed Martin and Boeing to bid on the contract worth $100 million to relocate 100 beavers into the woods.
Is it just me, or was that the stupidest thing we've ever seen?
Sorry, I'm ranting. In conclusion, the moral of the story is if it sounds dumb, but it works, it's not that dumb. And sometimes it's ridiculously cost-effective to just let people do their job. Also, beavers are cool, and airborne beavers are even cooler. And this has been the story of America's band of beavers, the airborne paratrooper beavers that went in to save the environment. Thank you for watching. The best way to support the channel is to buy some merch over to thefatelectrician.com. Quack, bang, out.
Well, I honestly didn't know what to expect when looking at this video. And yes, beavers are better than platypuses. Platy doesn't care. Anyway.
Yeah, it's like, are you trying to start shit with your old co-host?
Old co-host. Platy's a very strange kind of man. But anyway. If you guys like what we're doing, please do consider following, liking, subscribing. I hope you're all having a wonderful time, and, I don't know what else to say, except beavers are kind of cool. I've always wanted to pet a beaver. Never gotten the chance, really.
Fair.
But they are kind of cool. Anyway. Thank you all so much, and we'll see you later. Bye.
See you around.